Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to continue our journey to how to name properly the interval. If this is the first time you're landing in one of my videos, I recommend you to subscribe. If this is the first video that you're watching about this topic, I recommend you to go back and watch the first part of it. It will be more easier for you. In any case, I'm going to do a little recap of what we did last video. So let's begin. Last video, we learned the music alphabet. It's gonna show up over here. We use the letters of the alphabet to name the notes and to find distance between two notes. We count letters. So basically, what's the distance between A and D? A, B, C, D. We have the number of the interval. Today we are going to learn the quality. First, we need to learn the quality of the interval, the adjectives. Remember that the quality is an adjective that describes the distance between two notes. So let's begin. The first quality that we have is minor, and we can represent it with a minus or with a lowercase m. The other one that we have is major with a capital M. You can represent it. The next one is perfect with a normal P or capital P. Then we have the diminished one. With this one there is two ways for it. So with the shortcut dim, or with a simple O with a circle. And the last one is the augmented. That one you can represent it with a plus or you can write this. And basically those ones are the ones that we are going to use on this lesson. Obviously there is double diminished and double augmented, but we are going to take a look to them later on. In the way that we are going to do it today is by counting half steps and whole tones. Don't worry about that. I'm going to explain you how to do so. Perfect. So we have learned our music alphabet, but we need to learn the notes that are between them, the flats and sharps. At this moment I'm going to show up here the ladder where we are going to understand what's going on. The letters that you see on green are the ones that we learned before. No. So how are we going to use this ladder? It's really simple. We are going to count the steps between the notes. For example, if you see on the ladder between C and C sharp, there is half step, and between C sharp and D, there is another half step. We can say that there is two half steps or there is a whole step. That's the way that we are going to count our intervals to be able to find the quality, the proper quality that we are looking for. Perfect. So basically we have the names, we have our ladder, and we need to count. So at this moment, I'm going to put on the screen our default interval by counting. Perfect. So now we are prepared to find the quality of our interval. Let's start to practice. I know that it can sound a little bit confusing, but it will be more clear when we do that. So let's begin. At this moment, to name an interval, we need to follow the next steps. The first one, count the letters between the interval. Second, we're going to go over our ladder and we're going to count the distance between the two different notes. The third one, we are going to take a look to our default table. We're going to do that only to double check that our interval is named properly. I assure you that after you practice this a little, you are going to know exactly how to name most of our intervals. Okay? Perfect. So let's begin. What's the distance between A and C? We are going to count letters first. A, B, C. Perfect. Now we are going to go over our ladder. A to A sharp, there is half a step. A sharp to B, there is a half step. So there is a whole step now. Perfect. Between B and C, there is another half step, right? So there is 3 half steps. 1 whole step and 1 half step. So let's take a look to our default table of our interval. There you go, it's a minor third. We're going to put the adjective before the number. That means the quality before the number. And that's the way that you name properly an interval. Let's make another simple one. What's the distance between G and A? First step, let's count. G, A, right? Perfect. Now we know that it's a second. Let's find the quality. Let's take a look to our ladder. Between G and G sharp, there is half a step. Between G sharp and A, there is another half step. So there is a whole step. Am I right? There you go. So if you see our default table, we are going to see that that is a major second. Only to have a peace of mind, I'm going to show you the next table here. So for intervals like second, third, sixth, and seventh, we use minor and major. That's it. For unison, fourth, fifth, and eighth octave, we are going to use the adjective perfect. What's the distance between G and C? G, A, B, C. Perfect, we got it. It's a fourth. What kind of fourth? Let's count. G to G sharp, half step. G sharp to A, half step. A to A sharp, half step. A sharp to B, half step. and B to C half step. We have 5 half steps. That means 2 whole steps and half steps. Let's take a look to our table. What kind of fourth it is? It's a perfect fourth. What's the distance between A and A? A to A sharp, A sharp to B, B to C, C to C sharp, right? C sharp to D, D to D sharp, right? D sharp to E, E to F, F to F sharp, F sharp to G, G to G sharp, and G sharp to A. So we count 12 half steps. That means that is 6 whole steps. So the interval is a perfect octave. Now you know how to name major, minor, and perfect interval. Now let's work with these ones. Intervals, augmented and diminished. There is a simple rule that we can use to name those intervals. I'm going to bring one more time our table, and if you see an interval bigger or smaller, we are going to use those terms. For example, if you see an interval bigger than a major or a perfect interval, is gonna be augmented. If you see a smaller interval than a minor or perfect, you are going to use the diminished. Let's put some examples. What's the distance between C and F flat? First step, let's count. C, D, E, F, right? It's a fourth. Okay, let's count. Do you see F flat on our ladder? No. So, F flat is the same than E. So what's the distance in our ladder? Between C and C sharp, half step. Between C sharp and D, half step. Between D and D sharp, half step. Between D sharp to E, half step. There is 2 whole steps or 4 half steps, right? Perfect. But if we look our default table, that looks like a third, like a major third. But we count and there is 4 letters between those notes. So because the interval is half step smaller, it's gonna be a diminished. So the interval will be diminished fourth. What's the distance between G sharp and A flat? Let's count. G, A. If you see our letter, they are on the same step, isn't it? Yeah, that's a diminished second. Because it's smaller than half step. So what's the difference between B flat and C sharp? B and C is kind of second. Let's take a look to our table. That's an augmented second, right? Because the interval is bigger than a major second, right? So now we have learned how to name our intervals properly with the quality and the number. We have the full interval. Remember that you can download the PDF that is going to help us all the time to name our intervals. You can use it every time that you have any doubts. And if you are learning about it, you are going to practice with it. I guarantee you that you are going to learn super fast. Practice makes masters. On the next video, we are going to take a look to the inversions of the interval. So it's really simple. Alright guys, thank you for watching the video, and I hope that you have learned quite a lot. If you have any doubts or do you want to ask me something, please write your questions on the comment section down below. I guarantee that I'm going to answer to all of them. And if you like the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Alright guys, see you next time.